Hello everybody and welcome to another list video. Today we're not doing just a normal list. We're going to be ranking the campaigns from 6 to 1. Everything not including Edge of the Earth because we haven't finished it yet.
This still sounds like a list, Justin.
It is a list, but I'm not gonna be a clickbait like 10 cards you need to put in your deck or Travis is going to come to your house and uppercut you through the ceiling. Should we do that list?
That would be fun. I think that would be fun.
Jay, if you want to
find things that I would be that upset about.
That's a great list idea.
Can we run one that's 10 cards that you shouldn't play in your deck, or Travis will come yell at you?
Well, that's 2 videos right there.
So sick. All right, we're going to dive in. We have them from 6 to 1. We're going to briefly talk about it, and we're going to kind of do what we did in the when we did our pros and cons in the buy guide last year, where for your thing we'll give you the floor and then add in stuff as we go. But the floor is yours when it comes to it. So let's start with our number 6s, which for Bryn is the Infinite Conspiracy.
Yeah. I don't like fish people. No, I'm just kidding. There's just like a lot of scenarios in this campaign that I don't want to play. There's like maybe 2 of them that I do. And like 2 of them that I'm pretty indifferent towards. Like they're not bad, but they're not the best thing ever either.
Which ones are those?
That's
Which
a good
ones do you
question.
like?
I have no idea what they're called.
What
numbers
happens
are
in
they?
them?
So I like the ones that I like. There's like the first time you fight Dagon, like the penultimate scenario.
The
Lair of Dagon.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
That one's good. That one's good. I like the one with the boat.
Devil Reef.
Devil Reef.
Although I recognize that I hate other scenarios in this campaign for similar reasons to, or similar things about that one. Like, there's a lot of RNG involved, and you have very little control over most of it until you've kind of looked to see what it is, and by then it's too late. You kind of just have to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
So like that part's not so much fun, but like I do like that one. I like the one where you're in the cars.
Horror and High Gear.
Horror and high gear.
Vroom, vroom.
I don't really like the first 2. They're fine.
Give Pit a Spare a pretty good rating when we did it.
Hmm?
Give Pit a Spare the first one. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I gave that one like a 1.5 or
I think it was
No,
like a
that
2.5.
was-
I think it was like a 2.5.
Yeah.
You hovered around
like
average.
it's all right. I find a lot of them, and this is like mostly a me problem, where like I sit down and I'm like, I know exactly what's in the pool. So like I gotta try to figure out what everything could be.
Oh, like the locations?
Yeah.
So like when you see a spot and you're like, this is the optimal spot for this location, it's not this. This is
Yeah.
now like going to do a cascading line of problems.
Yeah, right.
I get that.
Sometimes you just like you flip something and you're like, oh man, second underground river's here. We're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is. And that part I find like a little bit more stressful than it is fun.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work for me to try to keep track of all these things. And like, I know I don't have to, but like, I have to.
It's how you game.
I can't not do it. So like that part of things, I find
That does check out.
difficult.
Because there's a lot of times where I move somewhere, you're like, Justin, you should do this one first because it might be this. And I'm like, I just saw this face down location and I wanted to move to it, but hell yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite one.
Cool.
I also don't like I know that they hand out XP like it's candy, but you only get to spend it like 2 times if we're being real that matter.
Yeah, I'm not.
And then
a fan of
after
that
that,
either.
Yeah.
it's kind of like cool. Like I get what they're going for, right? Like it's flashback episode. You shouldn't be able to use things that
Yeah.
you learned in the now in the past. Like I get it.
It was to
But
me.
like even that they fail at because
But
it's like
I can do
you
it
get
next time.
Yeah, you get to
Yeah.
do it the time after.
Yeah,
like,
it's one of those things
Yeah.
where like they probably had this idea and they didn't want to just do Dream Eaters again, where you had like a past and a present deck.
Yeah, if it was a past and a present deck, I would never play this one again. That's too much work.
To me, I think all this I think Innsmouth Conspiracy would have been really nice if it. I mean, not really nice. I think I would have liked it more if it was just sequential.
Yeah,
I think it would be. I think it would be neat if they had like led off with like Pit of Despair, and like maybe one other scenario, and
then
then
a
had
bunch
you
of flashlight.
yeah, and then had like all 4 flashbacks together or whatever, and
That'd be
then
really
you got
cool.
to actually finish playing it.
It's like a movie where you see the scene at the beginning and then it comes back. Yeah, that'd
yeah,
be
and
cool.
that would have alleviated a lot of
Yeah.
the issues they had with the experience and stuff
Anyway,
like that too.
I do think that a lot of the problems I have with this campaign will either be massively exacerbated or, not by the return to box, because if maybe I don't know what all the title pools are,
Yeah.
maybe that just makes it worse.
Yeah, the thing with the title pools, though,
but,
is
like,
they
I
seem
don't-
pretty fixed because
Yeah.
you need the key ones, right?
Yeah, right. Like you have to have the right number of each of them.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I mean, like they could change up which ones are there, because there's like the 6 that are just like the base ones that go into each scenario, and
Yep.
most of the key ones are encounter specific.
yeah, I think what they're gonna do for that is they're just gonna have a different set of title pools, and they'll be like, play with these ones instead, which won't actually make it better except for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, then
I
you get
don't
to.
know
They also
anything.
suggest that always that you can mix the encounter sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like this one you can't mix and remove because you need the right number of each of them to be there.
Oh, but you can mix and remove the base ones.
Or even if they just had like title pools and they have like a list of like, here's the key ones, here are the non-key ones, shuffle these up, choose a certain of the key,
Yeah.
certain of
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, that's pretty much most of my gripes with
Sick.
this one.
Travis and I each have Dunwich Legacy as our number 6. I think that this one is just not great.
Yeah, it's just kind of dated.
Yeah, and like we talk about like how we long for the simplicity of it, at least like I do,
Me too.
and I do long for the simplicity of it. The only problem is there's a lot of scenarios I don't like in this one that don't beat the ones I do like. Like Where Doom, sorry, no, not Where Doom Awaits.
I know.
Blood on the Altar is still it probably is in my top 5 or 10 scenarios. I still think that one's really flavorful and really good.
Lost in Time and Space still
It's
a lot of
also
fun.
really good, but like you have to like get there, and to do that you have to. I don't like Essex County Express anymore.
It's not great.
I don't like Miskatonic Museum. I think we all agree on that one.
What do you mean? What do you mean you don't like it? There's somebody who just doesn't get to play the
yeah.
game.
Undimensioned and Unseen I've never enjoyed, and Where Doom Awaits is
It's not true.
just
It's fun for like the first hour we played it the first time.
that's true. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, the first half of our first playthrough.
Yeah, we were like, and then we were like 3
Oh,
hours, and we
no.
were like,
And then Where Doom Awaits,
yeah.
I think, is the most boring scenario that exists in this game. I do like the first two, both extracurricular and House Always Wins are fun, but I think they're not fun enough for the scenario to be something I want to play. And even now, I would rather play Circle Undone over it, and this channel knows I am not a big fan of that campaign.
yeah, like Where Doom Awaits feels like they just kind of didn't know what to do and dumped everything into it.
Yeah. And it's...
What do you mean you don't like 105 card encounter deck or whatever it is?
You know, how I haven't sorted after.
And it's just...
Dump all the cards you have into a pile. That's the encounter deck.
That
Go!
being said, the return to for this one does make it much better, but like it still doesn't make it good enough to compete with the other low ones that also got improved by return to.
Yeah, because you still have to play Miskatonic Museum.
That one's not broken anymore though.
It's true, and you still got to play Where Doom Awaits. And Undimensioned Unseen is still like the variety of enemies is cooler, but I'm also like kind of over the scenarios where
Just
you have
how
to fight a
long it
monster.
takes, man.
Yeah, and like how they move randomly, and you're just like,
Yeah, it's just like so. It's not even like the RAM movement. It's just how like fiddly and tedious it is to
Yeah.
actually move them around.
yeah, and like the idea of people actually playing where they actually attach the cards to the thing and move them around. Oh my god!
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Anything you want to add?
Nope.
Cool. All right, let's go on to our number 5, Bryn.
Just shared that one with you.
I got the Dunwich Legacy.
Hey.
Yeah. Most of my problems with this one are related to how plain it is these days. Like the coolest, most unique scenario, barring the end one, but if the final scenario isn't different in some way, what the hell's going on? Is like Essex County Express, and like that one was sick. The first,
Couple
I want to
times.
say 2 times that I played it, but now it's like getting out of an abusive relationship now. You know, like I can see where I was And I can see how this is not good.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I can just die on turn 1, and there's literally nothing I can do about it.
Just play Water Protection, scrub.
Yeah, okay, sure, you could play Water Protection, but that does not a good scenario make. There are like a lot of issues with it. I still find I love playing that one with people who haven't played it before. With the exception of the games where you're just like, it's turn 1 and 2 of you are dead.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's not great.
I have a hard time playing with new people because I'm like, all right, we got to go fast. And they're like, I'm going to draw a card and then play this. And I'm like, we got to get off the tree.
No, we gotta go forward.
Yeah, the first time I played this one with my family, because I have played that scenario twice. I haven't played every scenario twice.
Yeah.
But that one, we died on turn 2.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't, but like they did. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to start this over
Yeah.
again? Okay, but like go faster.
Yeah.
Let's go tempo.
They can watch our tempo video.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch this video, then we're gonna play it again.
Yeah. I think if it would be a little better if they impressed that a little bit more on you. Off the get-go. They don't. You just die. That's
I
how
think
you
they've
learn.
gotten better at that.
Yeah.
Being like warning players.
Like, hey, so if you do it this way, like,
Yeah.
yeah, they do that a lot better these days than they did back then. I just think that there's not that much going for this one anymore. Like at some point, I am gonna have to try to hunt broods, and like if I don't get at least 2 of them, the rest of the campaign's gonna suck. So like I have to try.
And then also, like, if you kill what's his nuts, suddenly there's this tough enemy on Where Doom Awaits, which, you know, it can either be not a problem or, oh my god, that's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I think this one's fine and all. It's just
Yeah.
I've seen how much better the game can be.
Yeah, like, also even with this, like, there's no campaign where if you had a gun to my head and you said, play this campaign, I would never be like, just
kill
freaking
me.
shoot me. Like, I've played Dunwich Legacy, like, a month and a half ago on stream, and probably in 4 months I'm going to play it again, right? Like, that's just, I'll play all of these because I still enjoy the game, even on the campaigns I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah. Yeah, I do find this one like a little unplayable without the return to box these days.
Yep. No, that's very fair.
But hey, what can you do?
Yeah. My number 5 is the Circle Undone. I will say that this one has been an improvement for me, especially with the return to. I kind of like how it fixes some of the scenarios. I think actually, like in the Clutches of Chaos, the control that the locations give you is a lot better than the base game one. I think those locations are actually like.
Wow, praise for Clutches of Chaos.
I know, eh? But the other thing is just that the majority of these scenarios are just absolutely boring to me. Like, there's the one where you hunt witches. Or ghost witches. There's the one where you have to light a bunch of braziers, and I'm just like,
Or unlight.
and I'm just like, snore. It's like so boring. For the Greater Good, the one in the Silver Twilight Lodge, I actually don't even enjoy anymore either. I think that one's just kind of fine. Secret Name, I'm also starting to like get bored of it because I'm like, how many times can I kill the rats? Albeit it's still, I think, one of the best.
Brown Jenkins, I'm calling you out.
I still think it's one of the best designs. I like the design of that one a lot. And on the inverse, though, I'm really starting to like At Death's Doorstep more. I think that one's improved in my mind. And now it's easily better than Dunwich. If you had to ask, I'll now say that I like Circle Undone more than Dunwich Legacy. But I still don't love it. It's just kind of like fine to me.
That's fair. My number 5 is the Innsmouth Conspiracy. I don't like this one because I really like the Innsmouth stories. I enjoy reading those quite a bit. I feel like a lot of it doesn't really do justice to the sort of the mythos that was built around Innsmouth. And also, like, a lot of the scenarios are just kind of samey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them feel very much the same, where you're just wandering around through the same locations underwater.
Maybe that's what they'll do in the Return to box. They'll include a new set of tidal tunnels for each scenario.
Oh, that'd be
uses
nice,
them.
yeah.
That would be
sick.
really nice. Yeah, and like the scenario, the gimmick scenarios, this one, I just don't feel them, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like Vanishing Olena Harbor. I like the Pit of Despair quite a bit. I like In Too Deep a lot. Devil Reef is like fine. I don't like the car one myself. And then the, what's it called? Order of Dagon.
With penultimate.
The Lighthouse one is fine.
Light on
And
the
then
Fog,
yeah, the
yeah.
penultimate one, like I wish there was more to. It was so like promising. Like you're gonna just explore the Aztec Order of Dagon. Like surprise, it's just the water again.
Yeah, honestly, that's a big thing for me too. Is that like because of Arkham Horror Second Edition, I love Innsmouth. It's so cool. There was this storyline where when I played with my friend Mitchell for the first time with that expansion, he got locked in the Innsmouth jail and like it's dangerous there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it painted this picture of Innsmouth that it's like my favorite type of thing. And I'm with you, Travis. I think it just
Doesn't live up.
same with the Esoteric Order of Dagon. It's a cool location, and then the scenario, you're just like, oh, you're underwater again.
Yeah, and there's lots of issues again with the experience and stuff. That's just.
Yeah.
I see what they're trying to do, but it did not come together.
Sick. All right, Bryn, you're number 4.
I've got the Circle Undone. I don't actually have anything really against this one. Short of the fact that if you do not know the lore that this is based on, the story doesn't make any friggin' sense.
Very true.
The other thing I don't like about this one is that if you do not pick one of the two sides of the primary conflict in the game, you kind of just don't get any story.
Yep.
Like you have to choose, but they never make you choose. You can just kind of waffle your way down the middle, and then at the end you're like, Azathoth, huh? All right.
Neat.
So sick.
I guess these guys have the book now. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
these
but
guys
also
don't,
if you
and
commit
we're all
super hard to
agreeing that
one
we
of the
should just
paths,
kill the guys who
you don't
have
get
it.
to play the best scenario.
Yeah. So
They screw you out of before the Black Throne if you choose wrong.
yeah, it's like I don't know. The other thing I don't like about it is how either I have to print out copies of cards or I get to spend fucking 1,000 years on scenario 0 digging
Not
cards out of my
anymore, baby.
binder.
Yeah, thank God for the
Roll
return
the
to.
dice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, not anymore.
yeah.
Like I think that scenario, like the scenario zero is like it's a cool idea, but they should have included extra copies of all the cards.
Yeah.
Even
for
with
sure.
like a different back or some
Yeah,
Like,
like
okay.
whatever if they're concerned about that.
That would have been even better
Uh,
actually, so I don't have to worry about mixing them in.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like I've been toying with the idea of printing some out,
yeah, yeah.
and I think I probably should. Just
Yeah, 'cause it does set
sleeve
the
them up and
stage
then it's
really
easy,
nice.
right? Like
It does.
it's a cool scenario. It's just that the setup is
Yeah,
a pain in the ass. Like
It's like
it takes so
Forgotten
long
Age.
that you're probably not going to get to play scenario 1 that day
yeah.
unless you set up ahead of time, which you definitely should by printing out copies of the card.
Especially also like when I was reading that thread on Arkham, the Arkham subreddit, where how people are like, how do you store your cards in binder? And everyone was like, I store them in a box by type, level alphabetically, and I'm like, I put them in a binder in the first spot I find them in their level section.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what I do
Yeah.
too. At the level 0 cards, I've sorted by asset, event, and skill because
Yeah.
there's so many of them now. But other than that, it's just like all the level 1 cards together, all the level 2 cards
Yeah.
together, just wherever they go.
Yeah, and so like I'm sure that people who are like, oh no, I sorted it all like this, it's easier for you to set up. But
It doesn't make it that much better.
yeah,
No.
The work is still involved at some point. That's pretty much all I really have against this one. Like this one's fine to play. I don't like hunting ghost witches.
It's just meh.
That one, if I had to pick one,
to get rid of.
it would probably be that one.
Agreed.
I
Like
pick
this.
Clutches of Chaos, not to listen to you two bitch about it all the time.
Look, if I wanted to play Pandemic, I'd be playing Pandemic. I can just do that.
As I said earlier, I'm happy to play Return to Clutches of Chaos. That's a good time.
Oh, one time that you played it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that you've improved your opinion of it so much.
I think the return 2 box does improve this one noticeably.
I do hate that one card they added though. The foot one that just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one's a. To me, that one is like they took like because the idea was that in Circle Undone you need to have brain or else it's bad, and then they're like, but what if?
What if you didn't have foot?
And I don't
You
really,
die.
I don't really like that one. Actually, I'm gonna go to my 4, which is Innsmouth. One thing I really like about Innsmouth is that I feel like the threat on the encounter cards is very varied, which is nice, right?
That is
like,
nice. Yes.
It makes it so it's not just like because one thing it's a weird pet peeve I have, but anytime someone's like, "Oh, you're not playing Bryn in the Circle Undone, get ready to get wrecked," and I'm like, "No, just build your deck better and you'll be fine."
Yeah, I
That's
played
why-
Finn through the Circle Undone. It was fine.
Yeah, it's just you can play any investigator in any campaign and they'll do it. Innsmouth Conspiracy.
Unless you get trapped in
Well,
a
you
realm
can build
of
them to
torment.
do
It's
it.
true. Yeah.
They aren't just going to do it on their own. You have to help them all.
Yes. Innsmouth Conspiracy and Circle Undone, depending on the day you ask me, these could be flipped for where they are here. My Innsmouth Conspiracy opinion has dropped off significantly on recent playthroughs of them. I'm actually going through, I think, like 4 Innsmouth Conspiracy playthroughs right now, and I'm like going through, I'm on this scenario, I'm on this scenario, I'm on this scenario, like one after another, and then there are some that just like, I like Pit of Despair, I think it's a good intro, but I agree with Bryn that sometimes you can just like, you're like, okay, this is going to be a cakewalk because of this. However, that variance is also a good thing. Vanishing of Elena Harper, you have to play on rails, you actually don't get to make decisions. To me, it's kind of like Clutches of Chaos, where you have to just like, you have to play the way the game wants, which I don't like those scenarios. Same with Horror and High Gear. You need to play the way the game wants, which to me is not a good time. I'd rather play the way that we
You
can all
can
play.
just die.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, because when we recorded on Lyle on Monday, and I was like, we had that thing where we had to take the turn,
Yeah.
and where we take 10 direct damage. And he was like, how much, like, she was like, we're going to go in on this. He was like, yeah, I'm like, but if we die, we die.
Like, yo, whatever, man. This one doesn't act, like, once I don't
It's
like
not
about
that
Horror and High
different.
Gear, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nothing that happens there matters.
Echoing what these guys said, the tidal tunnels, like the water stuff is all just like samey. I'm curious to see if I like A Light in the Fog as much as I do the second time. I really like the flavor of that one, but it might not improve on second playthroughs. And honestly, I think the ending is kind of just sucky. I think the last scenario is...
as good as a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, it's probably my least favorite final... I mean, it's easily my least favorite final campaign, except for maybe Shattered Aeons, because that one's also kind of just like...
Well, you don't like the
But
idea
it's
of
still kind of
showing
like
up?
enjoyable.
I don't think Shattered Aeons is bad. It just has a lot going on.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, Innsmouth Conspiracy, I'm not too hot on.
You don't like the idea of showing up and having them be like, check it out, it's Mother Hydra and Father Dagon, and you being like, I brought a hammer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break this guy's knees.
All right, Travis.
And he's like, I don't have knees.
I'm a fish, man.
But it's too late.
Yeah, there we
It's too
go.
late.
You're right, you don't. He says just continues
Yeah.
with the hammer. My number 4 is Path to Carcosa. This one has dropped off quite a bit in my rankings because partially just we've played it so much. A lot of the scenarios feel like I know what's happening. And the other thing I don't like about it is there is an objectively correct way to play it. And that takes a lot away from it for me. You burn all the people at the start, and if you don't, you're kind of dumb. Because it makes the rest of the campaign much, much easier.
Unless you have Tony in your team and you kill 4 of them, and then you're fine.
Kill 4
Yeah.
of them, you're like, don't burn it down, but it doesn't matter because you're all dead anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there just isn't really, once you've seen what that does, there's no reason to pursue
And then it makes
the
it
other
so
ones.
that you never get the doubt Haster at the end. You're always
Yeah.
getting conviction Haster.
Or the other one. Like,
the
it's really
middle
cool
has
and
to
really flavorful campaign. There's lots of scenarios. I like it. It's just, you never get to see most of it.
Heck yeah. To go into the points that Tony is too strong of a fighter, the 2 times I've seen Tony play through Path to Carcosa, he killed 5 or 6 of the party guests.
Yeah.
Too strong. Too strong.
Maybe.
Look,
All right.
Maybe.
it's Green's time to be in this song.
No. Back into the trash. Know your place.
Let's go to number 3. Shall we? Our top 3, starting with you, Bryn.
All right, I got Path to Carcosa.
Hello.
Of the ones that I like, this is the one I like least. But I don't dislike it.
God.
I think that, so like there's a lot of great scenarios in this one. And like, yeah, okay, like Travis says, there is at almost every decision tree a correct and an incorrect decision to make, which does hinder repeat plays. Right? Like it's not a great thing. If I show up and I know that like I'm gonna burn everyone to death.
Yep.
I'm not gonna listen to what this idiot's saying.
Nope.
You know? Right, like these
Gonna kill him.
these things do not help it. Individually, the scenarios are mostly really cool. Like there's an asylum. And there isn't any pressure to get out the first time you play it, but goddamn.
Oh yeah, I get so stressed now when I start that one.
You do get an extra block of text to read.
I played with my family, and they didn't understand why I was so stressed the entire time. I was like, no, you need to leave. And they're like, but we get like extra victories here. I'm like, you need to leave.
Yeah, in the Patreon
Get
one I'm
out.
doing of this one, they got the Profana and just made the locust like this location next to it, and they're like, we're getting out of here.
No one is dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I played this one with my family, I was playing, what's her name? Pilot lady. Winifred.
Winifred.
And I had 2 copies of Nimble and Elusive and an I'm Out of Here.
Yeah.
My deck. Just like, no, not me though. Somebody else.
Not this
maybe,
time.
Not me.
This to also go with what you were saying, Travis, how like the correct choice is to burn them down. If you did not kill the party's host, that makes getting out of there so much harder.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
it ever?
My God.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if the other sides had some sort of payoff to them, that would be cool. They do not. We have seen the Return to box. They're not gonna.
Yeah.
So.
Like even if they just like slap Victory 1 or Victory 2 onto the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even just like when they show up, if you get out, you get extra XP for
Yeah,
every
Yeah.
shot, so.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So like a reason to ever take that path.
Yeah.
Because there really isn't one. You could just kill them all and never have to think about it a second time.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, there's only like one scenario in this one that I really don't want to play. And it's the
Whack-a-mole?
one where you're at the Historical
Echoes of the Past,
Society. Because that one kind of sucks.
Yeah. That one's kind of a snooze.
Yeah, you show up and you're either like, we lose in the first 3 turns, or we're going to play forever and like
Probably win.
probably we're going to win, because like those first 3 turns are like the pinch point where the game can really hurt us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it kind of doesn't get to.
Yes.
So like that one I think it's not great. I'm never looking forward to that one. But the rest of them, I mean, like you get to be on Mont Saint Michel and all kinds of cool places.
It's a real
like that.
place.
No, like I mean, most of the places you go in,
Some of you
honestly,
might think
this
that France
game
is a
are
made-up
real.
thing, but
I
it's
thought
a real,
France was just a weird horror place.
It's a real
I
country.
thought it was like Innsmouth.
Yeah. If you compare the card artwork on the locations to historical photographs of the same locations, like in beat space in real life, they look the same. Somebody did their homework on this,
Sick.
and that is really cool.
Do they also have biakis in France?
Yes.
Oh wow!
Actually, they do, yes.
Wow.
That's why they have curfews.
Oh, that makes sense because they're scary.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
for your own safety.
My number 3, I'll actually, honestly, depending on the day you ask me, it could be my number 2. My number 3 and my 2 flip on how I'm feeling when I get out of bed. I've grown a lot on the Forgotten Age. I think it's like one of the best. I looked at this list of the one I would want to play the most as my number 1. Then going down to my number 6, the one I want to play the least. And the Forgotten Age, I think, is outside of this, from just design, it's the best campaign, I think, from beginning to end in terms of flow, structure, and story. I really like how it all comes together. And then the secret I recently learned that apparently was really obvious if you ever did it, where Alejandro was actually the caretaker the whole time.
We're just like, this guy's a racist asshole.
And you can actually save him. You can actually save original Alejandro.
Why would I want to save original Alejandro?
Because he's not the bad one.
Look, if he got taken over by the caretaker, what's the point?
Well, then he'll be back.
Because the thing is, I don't think he was the caretaker. He was like us trying to just do something in there. But I think like it's Travis once said like the list of like we wanted to do a list video of like the top twists in a campaign.
Yeah.
And this is like really the only campaign that has like notable twists like that because that was really cool to discover. And then like it all comes down to this thing where it's less about Yig. It's like a good Circle Undone story to me, where that
Which
one
is
was
good,
like this
'cause
thing.
Higgs kind of a dirt old one.
Yes, yeah, because like and like in the Circle Undone, you have these two sides that kind of like come to a head, and then you're like, here's Azathoth, right? There is the lore with it, but unless you know that lore, you kind of are just like watching two people bicker. Mm-hmm. You get that in for the Forgotten Age, but you also get that pulpy goodness that comes with it. The downside of Forgotten Age is that Boundary Beyond, I still think is like I hate playing that one, and Heart of the Elders Part 1 is kind of just poopy.
Stinky.
It's kind of just stinky. Everything else, though, I think is I think Threads of Fate, the one where you're in ARKHAM, is a really good scenario, and I'm excited to play the return to that one. Again,
Quite the hot take there, Justin.
I know, eh?
Threads of Fate, good.
Good scenario. And then my thought process, I'm less hot on City of the Archives than I was when I originally played it, but I still think it's a good scenario, and I think the Forgotten Age is just like a good campaign now. I actually like enjoy it.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed the less I have to set it up. And now there aren't, like, God, the amount of exploration decks you had to make the first time through.
Yeah.
With the return to it, it's much more tolerable.
Yeah. What's your number 3,
Oh
Travis?
yeah, it's my turn. The Circle Undone. I like this one a lot more than other people because I read the stories and I like the stuff.
That's fair.
I do like how it's like kind of like the story behind the story is the relevant part. They're not wrong. They're like if you don't know anything about like Lovecraft or haven't read any of his other lore stuff, you're gonna be lost. It's gonna look like mom and dad are fighting.
Yeah, mom and dad are fighting, and then they
Azathoth
send
is
you off
in
to go live
divorce.
with your horrible uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doom.
But no, like I think there's a lot of things to like for this one. A couple of the scenarios are like not the best, which is why it's at number 3 and not like higher on the list. As discussed, doing the witches graveyard one sucks. Setting up the prologue sucks. But generalist scenarios are tolerable to good in my opinion, and then you got Before the Black Throne, which is like one of the best scenarios in the game, if not the best. I think two of the three of us rated like the best one, and one of us rated the second best.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
good.
the only one that was the higher rating was the Unspeakable Oath, just because Bryn and I both gave it a 5, and you gave it like a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like I think Bryn was we were like 4 and 4, and you were a 5.
No, I was talking about when we did our.
No, that's what I mean. Like when I put them together,
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
okay.
like what they averaged out at. But I think it was our number 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like it's really good.
it's very good.
And yeah, I do like how the story. I like most of the story elements for this one. I like how it's like a tale of human folly, where it's two people trying to like get power for themselves, and then they screwed everybody in the process
Yeah.
because they sent you to go do Before the Black Throne. That's hard, man. That's really hard.
Fix our mistake. Like, are you sure? We're 3
I'm
draft
going to
decks.
die.
Have you looked at us?
Yeah. No, I'm kind of excited to replay that one with the new mobility options that Green gets.
Yeah.
Just be zooming.
Particularly swap places with Dude.
Oh yeah.
To play like Witch's Graveyard and just be like, you need to be over there and I need to be over here.
Yes.
It's good. Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Both happy. Good work.
Yeah. Both happy and they're like, I'm not happy. They're like, I can't hear you.
Be happy in a second. Just sit down.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our number 2s.
All right. Well, I got the Forgotten Age.
Me too.
Yeah. The more, like, when I first played this one, I fucking hated it. But the more I play through it,
All of us nodding.
Yep.
the more I play through it, the more I enjoy this one. Like, sure, the lows are real low. Like, real low.
Do you guys remember the first time we played the first scenario or the second scenario when you just got the shit beat out of us?
Yes.
And we're like, you guys want to try again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
I
know?
love how much you like hated this one back in the day.
You don't know how tedious it was to set up all those exploration decks, dude. You never did the setup. It sucked.
It's true.
You have to pick through all the encounters. They're like, oh, get one of these 4 different things from across 3 different encounter sets and shove them all together.
Travis, if it ever happens again, you can give it to me. I'll do it. I'll take that bullet for you.
Good.
Yeah, you can shoot me in the head with that annoying gun.
I'll be happy to.
Hell yeah, I'll be happy to take it.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've shot you in this game.
I think this one would have been made a lot better with the inclusion of, again, cards with an alternate back that made up the exploration deck. Because they do not actually really need to be. I guess like for some, there's a couple of encounter cards that can be shuffled into the deck, but whatever. Or even like an alternate frame on the front or something to differentiate them. So then you just have like your copies of ants and garbage that need to go into the exploration deck.
Yeah.
That would help a lot.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the negativity too, if they just had the original Explore rules, that would have been like solved it.
Yeah, that does really help. Where you don't get to look at one card and then you're like, you get to go until you find one that ends it.
Yeah.
So like either you find the thing you're looking for, or you find a treachery card that stops you.
Yeah.
That's how it always works.
That wasn't how it worked the first time though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it
yeah, it
wasn't.
was.
Was it?
Yeah.
You just always drew the treachery cards like
Yeah.
Maybe,
first.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Clearly, I can't remember.
No, the new thing is like you start with just locations and you add in
Yeah.
encounter cards after you successfully explore.
Okay.
The only thing that's weird is that it's not like that for all of them. Some of them, like you don't
Yes.
add cards.
That is a little bit weird.
It is, but I think that's
Still
like
better.
specifically just like Boundary Beyond and Depths of Yoth, which makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Well, clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. Though I will admit, the only time I've ever actually set this one up was not that long ago. Like less than 2 years ago.
Travis, you want
So,
to add on
yeah.
to this?
Yeah, sure. Well, for the story, for this one also has like the story is more coherent than the Circle Undone, but it is still like a little bit kind of esoteric to people who don't read stories and stuff. Especially since the main story it's based on, the Mound, doesn't get included in most Lovecraft compendiums because it was like co-authored by him or something like that, or he read in collaboration with someone. I don't remember exactly which, but. And it goes into depth a lot about like Kenyan and stuff like that. They also completely left out like the people who live down there, sort of, unless they're supposed to be the Esli, but probably. Yeah, like a good campaign. Has improved greatly over time. The Return to is like so good. Like probably the weakest point now with the Return to is like Boundary Beyond still sucks to play.
Yeah.
Just because it's hard. And then Shattered Eons is like,
That one's just clunky.
yeah, it's a little bit chunky. It really feels like an afterthought to, not an afterthought, it's like a bridge between, what's it called? The Depths of Yoth and like Turn Back Time. And like if you always got to play Turn Back Time, I feel like it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But it's just you don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
but that's
really hard
because
to get.
you're either like
You need to be Snake Person or like Yithian.
yeah, you're
that's
either in
fine,
space
but-
jail, presumably for killing the Yithian the first time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you
Or
can come
like-
with us. Oh no, it looks like
Oh,
here we have some
jeez, did
security
you-
footage of you
Did you
killing this guy.
Is that you?
Yeah.
I
You
feel
killed Bolbar.
Space jail.
Yeah, I also feel like they could have managed that. This like just that scenario better, where they like have you do the first half, and then they have like the second half kind of mirror it, and then like they have the formless spawn to cut you off. But then sometimes they force you to like go across because there's like a wizard the order or some dumb shit that spawns on the other side of the map that you have to kill.
Yes.
I feel like they could have done just better, a lot better. Just like make the map a little bit bigger and don't do the half and half thing.
Yeah. Yeah. My number 2 is the Dream Eaters. I think this campaign's really good. I don't like.
Really, is that why it's number 2 instead of number 6?
No, it's number 2 instead of number 6 because I actually enjoy playing it.
You think the spider's cute?
No, the spider. I'm not allowed to look at her. But the
That's
things
not a response to that, but okay.
the things that go against for this one is I don't like the 2 deck system was neat the first time, but now it's kind of just like I get to play 2 half campaigns, and I get really excited to play my deck, and then it's just like over. And then the other thing is that on replays, this one hurts a lot because there's really no variance to the things that happen.
True.
Like, you always follow the same path through the moon to get to the guy's ship, which is super cool, but like it's just always the same path. The unnameable is always the same thing. The ghoul thing is like always the same. Oh my god, you go to a different Sea of Pitch location, but it's still just the same stuff. And the thing that makes my number one is the fact that there is variance in the scenarios, but I still think Dream Eaters is very good. I don't have like anything really negative to say about it. So it's just none of that anything to say like good. It's just
It's good,
really
just not the best.
Yeah, and Waking Nightmare, the spider one in the hospital is like I really like that
super
scenario.
good, yeah.
I really like that scenario, and it's my go-to scenario for deck testing now too. Because it gives you such a choke point, and you need to rush to that choke point, and then you can see the speed and your efficiency of your deck in a way that's like good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty solid for that too. Like, can you keep Dr. Simran alive
Yep.
or not? Because if not, your deck might not be that good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go to everyone's number ones. You guys,
Spiders.
give you guys the spiders. I'll throw the floor to you guys.
Dream Eater's good. Fun, no bad scenario.
Agreed with that.
Yeah.
I think it's the only campaign with a scenario that with no
No
scenario
scenario
I
that you
don't want
like.
to play.
Yeah. You sit down for all of them and you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
go explore the Enchant Forest, hell yeah. And go explore like the Dreamland, yeah. And go explore the depths or like the underworld and stuff. You're like, yeah.
Can I go put together a ghoul gang?
Lots of experience you get in large chunks is very fun for deck upgrading.
Yep.
Again, like there is the can't play. It's not an 8-part thing. It's either 2 4s or like 2 decks for 8, which is like a little bit awkward. But the story is just like out of the world good.
Yeah, it's very good.
It is so much better when you have multiple collections.
Yes, for deck building.
Like, so much
The
better.
story doesn't get any better if you have multiple.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I
Cool.
enjoy the story more because I'm not thinking about how, like, man, when we're done, I gotta
mean,
log all the deck lists, and I gotta take things apart.
Anytime I get to the engine,
When we did our
Put
one
it back
collection run,
together.
that was like a lot of fun. That was probably the
was
most fun
good,
we had
yeah.
doing like online
yeah,
games for.
because we built 6 killer decks. I also just loved in that last scenario where I had like 10 hidden cards in my hand as Gloria.
Yeah.
That was sick.
There's a scenario where I got to just ride around
Yeah.
your back the entire
That
time.
was a good time.
Carry me to the clues.
Yeah, like, pretty much the gripe I have with this one is,
Your left tip.
yeah, it's related to the Nyarlathotep, and, like, sure, it doesn't necessarily happen every time, but if you're doing well, it will. It kind of just always does.
One thing I forgot to say is that I always get stressed out when I get to one of the interludes and the cat comes to talk to me, and then I like I'm so worried I mess up where he's
Yeah.
supposed to go, what goes in what bag, and I'm like, please, Father of God.
Yeah.
Just keep the cats happy.
I did play this one with my brother, and it was pretty good. Partway through scenario 3, I think, he was like, hold on, why is there a Randolph in this one too?
You're like,
I was like,
yeah.
Well, you're paying attention. You might have cracked the
You're
code.
smart as the cat in the story.
Yeah.
No, like I don't think I've ever played a Dream Eater scenario and not like had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're mostly good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, I really wish that the Nyarlathotep, so like there's 2 endings to the Nyarlathotep fight, one where you drive him away and one where you destroy him. And the one where you destroy him, there isn't enough time. It's not like doable, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta be really crushing it to make it through there.
Yeah, like that one
Really
that
crush
one
it.
game on the end of Forgotten Age with our stupid draft decks, where just like everything went right.
Yeah.
We never had to try to solve a problem that was really that difficult, and when we did, we were just like, blue token, all right, let's go. Yeah, like it could happen, but like everything needs to go right. You can never waste time. You get to the end and they're like, you want to kill a 90 health enemy? And you're like, not really,
No.
but also I have a turn and a half to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets fixed in return too,
So-
where they just like suck the doom off it when he spawns or something like that.
I would love for there to be an extra agenda
Yeah.
that you advance to if you beat him and you have the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like, what does it do if they
But-
don't do that? Like, you just gotta have this exciting, fun boss fight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you lose.
Yeah, and you lose.
Yeah, because he'll kill you.
Yeah, because he's like...
It's like actually really hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's like so hard. It's not even like so hard as in like the numbers are big and the game is difficult to play. It's so hard as in it's like, well, I have 2 turns and I need to deal more damage than I could ever have done throughout the scenario.
In the martial arts.
One thing, too, with Dream Eaters is that the final one against
Maybe.
Ashlanaka is kind of
Maybe.
just... That one is kind of just like paint by numbers now to play. You just kind of like go through the motions. It's less exciting the first time with Big Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be better if she moved more,
yeah.
but maybe that's just us being like
It's just like a touch on the easy side.
Yeah. I mean, we also have the perspective where we played this game a lot. Like imagine like a lot of like the most normal people, like 80% of the community, play a campaign once and they're like, that was fun, right?
Yeah, maybe a second time
Yeah.
while they're waiting
But
for another one to come out.
We've played Dream Eaters on the channel 5 times. On the channel. And we still play like otherwise.
Yeah.
Right? My number 1 is Path to Carcosa. For
Surprise, surprise.
one very simple reason, and that's just because I think it has on playthrough. I agree with what you say about the story. You always do the same thing, but the scenario themselves have a lot of variance that make it so that each time you play, it feels a little more engaging for me than Dream Eaters. I like when the different parties come, even just putting the different party guests at different locations, and then the order in which they rupture causes you to have to like make different decisions each time. The catacombs in Paris giving you a different map each time also changes things as it grows, and the Dim Carcosa, the finale. It's one of my favorite finales still. I think it's now it's a bit on the easier side than when I first played. We now usually can get to Haster and beat him no problem, and I just as well have a lot of good memories from Path to Carcosa. I think to me it was the campaign that on our blind playthrough had me most hyped. And that's why I think also like why you like Dream Eater so much. It's like your thing, right? Like you love the Dreamlands.
Yeah.
I love Haster and the King in Yellow. So it like resonates with us just like in that like primal level. We're like, I love this.
Fun.
I will say though, with Edge of the Earth, I'm having that excitement that I haven't had since Path to Carcosa. And I think it's a really good campaign so far, and I'm excited to see, and I hope it stays that way throughout the whole time.
I'm also really feeling Edge of the Earth.
Yeah, it's cool. If this is what they can do now with like more
Antarctica.
more freeform design because they have it all in one box, I'm here for it.
Yep.
Sick. Great video.
Good job, everyone.
Yeah, everyone. It's like we realized we've never touched before. We're just like patrons. Hey, thank you so much. There's no contribution for this one because this one is just I came up with this one this afternoon, so I didn't post the thing on the Patreon. But if you want to join and contribute to future lists, you know where to go. Down in the description, you get a bunch of other cool stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.